Hello, everyone. Welcome to our day one preview for the Ebor Festival at York. Those of you that have followed us closely have seen we did an AntePoster preview about a week or so ago, and we covered the Voltigeur and Juddmonte. Made the warnings that it's probably going to be less than 8 runner fields, and both of them have subsequently been, so there's slight each way value was had, but still the races look fascinating and think there is definitely still some angles and some value. The race we're going to start with, though, is the Acomb, which is an 8 runner field with 2 quite short price favourites that were both quite interested to take on, actually. But before getting into the race, Daniel, I'll ask you about the grounds. What's it looking like it's going to be for this week on the Naves Mare?
Well, we're still a couple of days out, aren't we? But all you can imagine is decent summer racing ground, unless there's overwatering. But yeah, you would expect to be proper good firm places at least, wouldn't you?
Yeah. York's certainly not a track renowned for overwatering. I remember there seems to be track records broke every year there now. I think the Lion of Winter one, I remember Patash winning one, Stradivarius winning one, all within the last 5 years or so. So yeah, no, a track that encourages good racing ground, which is fantastic. And good racing it will be, as mentioned. 2 quite short price favourites, co-favourites in the Acomb Stakes. We've got Distant Storm and Italy both at 7-4. Goodwood Galaxy, those of you who follow us on X and are subscribed to emails will have seen that we put up an article talking about him last night. On that, we are recording at 5 o'clock on Monday evening. Gowan is next in the betting at 16-1, May Angel 16s, Rockfort Bridge 16s, Oceans 433s, and the rag field is Sovereign Ocean, who is 66s. So this might sound a little bit boring, but immediately we'll run through the form of Distant Storm's debut and sole run win. And since that race, the second has come out, Constitution River, and won at Galway at a price of 1-5. The third came out and ran a length behind the quite highly touted Publish, and then on his next start, he bolted up by 7 lengths in a maiden at Yarmouth. The fourth hasn't run yet, but the fifth won next time out by 8 lengths. The sixth won next time out by 1 length, and then the seventh won next time out as well. So it is incredibly hot form for a Newmarket maiden. But is it sufficient to justify his position as favourite in this Group 3?
Yeah, I had him done. He was co-favourite 7-4. It's these 2 big stables, isn't it, that last year gave us in this very same race the Lion of Winter and Ruling Court. So and whatever we think of the Lion and Winter now, he was one of the most exciting juveniles, and Ruling Court was the other, almost one of the most exciting juveniles who then went on to win the 2000 Guineas. So these are the 2 biggest, most powerful, training operations in Britain and Ireland. And they presumably have each brought close to their best. And so on that basis, one should be scared of them. But I do prefer Distant Form to Italy. If you put a gun to my head, say back one or the other, I prefer Distant Storm, who was absolutely terrifying how well that race has run out, even though on the theoretical figure he put up, if you look at time form RPR or whatever, there's nothing to differentiate him from the likes of Goodwood Galaxy, but you just think that maiden was much better than it looked, even though he did it well and the front 2 were clear. So yeah, Distant Storm I really do get, but in an 8 race field I'd rather take an each way swing, so reluctantly I'd pass on him. I'd definitely pass on Italy. Your take on Italy?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Italy. To me, he looks a bit like a Beresford horse, and I don't really necessarily like Beresford horses, so that's a bit of a shunning on my part. I just don't think the form of his debut win, where he beat the Secret Advisory, justifies a 7-4 price, when we'll talk about Rockfort Bridge in a minute, who did the exact same thing but is priced at 16-1. There is too much Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien factor built into his price here. and will be looking to take him on. And I also think it'll be interesting to follow the market, because the Godolphin team should have a good read on Italy through their win in the Superlative Stakes with Sabre Desert. They'll know hopefully how Distant Storm compares to that horse, and therefore how he compares to Italy. So if we do see a plunge on Distant Storm, I would find that confidence boosting despite the shorter price on him. But next up, for the betting as mentioned, was Goodwood Galaxy at 8-1. Put up the article about him last night. He's since been trimmed from 12s into 8s. Could you still make a case for him?
Yeah, and one of the reasons for going with the article last night is I was just saying to you, look, this was quite a large field, and so many of these it's clear are going to come out, and I thought it might go to sub 8. So I was very keen to get Goodwood Galaxy on board and an each way when they thought there might be no each way. So we got 12-1 for our followers, so that's a better price than 8s. But it is still a 3-place bet, and I think it is still quite attractive. Good winner on debut. Then he goes to the Vintage at Goodwood, and so green because it fell out the stalls. He's at the back. Then he gets a bit of a Goodwood trap, manages to find himself on the rail, and jockey holds him there for a while, thinking he's going to get around, doesn't. Then he pulls him to the middle. Then he can't get out. Then he has to pull him out again and get right out wide. By the time he gets a really sort of clear run at things, it's all finished, and he's still at 7th or 8th. And he passes 4 or 5 horses in the last half furlong, but it's not good enough. I like the third run, the move to the more wide open expanses of York. Horses can get in trouble in an 8-horse race at York, but it's not as likely as it is at Goodwood. And I just thought that that run was full of promise. I think there's probably more in this guy. I'm not quite so wild at him as 8s as I was at 12s for obvious reasons, because it's a different price. But yeah, there's a little bit Chinese whispery here, so one should be careful of such things. But from someone with a connection to the owners, I know that I've heard that Manizia likes this horse, and he himself thinks is a proper each way play on this race. So I thought let's go with that. Let's go with this fella.
It wouldn't be like Manuzia to be especially bullish about one of his horses. But yeah, good information nonetheless. But maybe I would always take Manuzia comments with a slight pinch of salt. All right, Goan is next in the betting, 16-1. And he runs for Andrew Balding, who obviously won this race a couple of years ago with Chaldean. Went on to win the Guineas before disappointing. But the form of his debut, which is his only run to date, is also working out well. Certainly not as well as Distant Storm, but can he follow up here second time out?
I mean, he can, but it's a question of whether you want to take a risk. And I think there are good reasons to say this is a reasonable each way risk if the 8 holds. I mean, time form, for example, have him 105p with the likes of Goodwood Galaxy and Distant Storm 108 and 109p respectively. So that's just £2 or £3. And more to the point, this completely unexpected. We just don't know. He's one run, one win, and represents the pretty powerful Andrew Balding stable. We've got some really good juveniles. I completely get the case for an each way play on this one. I wouldn't put anyone off them as long as the 8 holds. Could be anything still.
Yeah. May Angel, yeah, actually, as I said, a good friend of mine who's a decent better. He likes Goan at 16s. May Angel next in the betting at 16s as well, representing John and Thady Gosden with Sheen Murphy on board. That combination you wouldn't normally expect to get a price like 16-1, but he only brings in all-weather form. And will that be enough in this Group 3?
Yeah, not for me. I think you put it in a nutshell. Then, if you're betting on this one, you're thinking, "Whoa, hang on, the Gosden stable with Murphy on board, 16-1 in an 8-horse race, who won his last race. That's got to be crazy, hasn't it?" And I get that angle. I get why would play this fella, but was it 5th on debut? Goes to Southall, the all-weather, to get off the mark next time,
Yeah.
Royce. On the ratings, he's rated well behind. He's down there rated with the 2 rags of the field. On the bare ratings, and so perhaps not Sovereign Ocean, who's the best part of another stone behind, but same level as Ocean's Ford. I don't quite get it. I won't play the Gosden 16-1, but I understand why people would.
Yeah, and then next in the betting is Rockfort Bridge, who, as mentioned, beat the Secret Advisory, who was second to Italy and also second in the Chesham on his sole start. And the price differential must be too big, mustn't it?
Yeah, I think so. First of all, so I'm sorry, James. I've got to call you out on that's twice you've called him the secret advisory, isn't it? The secret adversary.
It is, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Very good. I'll be honest. I played this one too. I played this one a few days ago. I was just looking through the field, and I just saw one, as in he's run once and he's won once, and I always click through and see what's behind it, because you think why is there such a big price? Then I see the victim is the secret adversary by 3/4 of a length. Oh, guess what? 7-4 co-favorite, Ballydoyle sole representative beat the same horse by about the same thing, by the same distance. Now you could say that Ballydoyle horses usually come on a ton for their first run, so and on the form Italy did, even though he was only second to the superlative. But I like Adrian Keatley, and I couldn't resist a little flutter on this one.
Yeah, his maiden win was also on good to soft, and he's the son of Memis, who you would have expected to maybe improve with some slightly faster ground. So he could improve at the similar rate that Italy should have done as well. And 16-1 is certainly of interest. The two outsiders, Ocean's 4 and Sovereign Ocean, either of those make any appeal?
Ocean's 4 would. This is Brian Meehan. If he had one race, which looked even half decent, was coming here, I'd be quite excited about him, because Meehan's runners always need their first run and usually come on an absolute bundle. But he's had 2 races, and his second race he did improve. He got off the mark at where was it, Fosslas, and one doesn't want to be rude about Fosslas form, but I'd be pretty staggered if this one could take another step up and win an Acomb. I could be right, could be an egg on face moment here, but I do like to look out for me, and lightly raced calls, but I couldn't get to this one.
Okay, and then no interest at all in Sovereign Ocean.
No, but other than say, of course, he's won his only race. It's just on all the form interpretations of that so far have him well down this pack on ratings, and the idea that this Ian Jardine runner is going to suddenly beat the best of Ballydoyle, Appleby, Balding, and so forth. There's a super leap of faith to make. I can't make it. Yeah.
In agreement there. To summarise there for the Acomb Stakes, positive on Rockfort Bridge, probably mostly so at the current prices, and Goodwood Galaxy were obviously keen on put up at 12s yesterday. Do subscribe to our emails and Twitter to make sure that you get those prices. And Distant Storm of the 2 favourites would be more keen on Italy. Italy certainly not so. So then the next race we will talk about is the next race on the card, the Great Voltigeur Stakes. And we have got a 7-runner field here. We've got Lambourn, the 2-time Derby winners, 8-11 favourite. Karma's the Queen's Vase winner, 7-1. Arabian Force was supplemented and is priced in at 10s. Pride of Aris, the Dante winner, 10s as well. Stay True, 10s. Mount Kilimanjaro, 20s. And Thrice is at 66s. So to start with, 8-11 about 2-time Derby winner. Surely that is a lump job, is it not?
Yeah, it's a lump on lay, this horse job. No, not literally. That is not a recommendation. But it is just obviously in my DNA anyway to take short price favourites where I think there's something wrong, and I think everything's all wrong here. I don't think this horse is this good. He won a funny derby, and then he went to Ireland to the Curragh, and he sort of struggled to win a poor Irish derby, which was a regression on form figures, by the way. You get the vibes from the stable. There are so many other horses in the yard. They think are more talented than this guy. The fillies, the 4-year-old, the likes of Delacroix. This poor fella, I don't know, maybe they will send him to the Ledger, but given that comes from a stable who like to come up with the phrase, oh, he's a bit classy for that. If they do send him there, tells you what they think of him. He's carrying a £5 penalty for his Group 1 win, and every fibre in my being says you have to take this horse on.
Yeah, in agreement. It's just a shame there's not the 8 runners to have an each way.
Yeah, agreed.
good makeup to take him on with. And if there was, I would certainly be very keen on the horse second in the betting Calmers. We put him up at 8-1, 3 places at the end of last week. Now just trimmed into 7s with 2 places available, but still do think there could be a case to be made. And the reason for that is the form of his Queen's Vase win looks even stronger, with Further coming out and winning quite comfortably at Newbury over the weekend. And he's unbeaten, and I think he'll go off shorter than 7-1.
Yeah, so do I, and also he's the only one in this field who we don't quite know the ceiling of, because he's run 3 times, he's won 3 times. That Queen's Vase form was looking a little bit ropey at times, because Further had flopped, who came close to him, and only Scandinavia, obviously improved leaps and bounds, have really done anything for it. But then Further proved that his run at Newmarket all wrong last time at forget the course. You're going to remind me, aren't you? You've got a handle on data such as that. Where did he win? It was just at the weekend, wasn't it? Doncaster. Anyway, never mind. Okay, can't remember. But yeah, that is looking better, that form, and I think he's the play against. I don't feel so strongly about recommending as a bet now. You know, we wrote the article saying this was going to cut up to less than 8 runners. It only just has, actually. There are 7, but that was 3 places. That looked like a superb each way play. Now I think you have to really, with a 7-horse field, you're statistically playing against yourself unless you go, in terms of what's the odds and the maths, unless you go win only, you're playing against for 2 places each way. So yeah, it would be a small perhaps win recommendation, but followers sit on your each way at 10s and probably don't get involved again.
Yeah. Arabian Force, supplemented, son of Lope de Vega, but he does seem to go on good firm ground. He's got fairly mixed form, I'd say. He came 7 lengths behind Trinity College and 7th in the Hampton Court Stakes before then, following up with just a nose defeat to the quite exciting unbeaten Noran. The furthest he's gone is 11 furlongs, and I think his pedigree probably has him being tested over 12, maybe slightly beyond what he'd be comfortable doing. And given the fact that it looks like Ballydor might have some pacemakers in here, and Lambourn will want to make it a test, Calmers will want it to be a test, I worry that he might not have the stamina for this. But yeah, what's your view on Arabian Force at 10s?
I would be anti. I would be pretty clearly anti this guy on the couple of grounds. I mean, he's had quite a few runs and he's quite exposed. And like you, as breeding doesn't obviously scream to me 12 furlongs. There are just 2 things that niggled away at them, but the biggest one is they were supplemented. And I can't see why Sheikh Rashid Al Maktoum would suddenly be leaning on Haggis to say, look, I want to run in the Great Voltigeur. Let's run the guy in the Voltigeur. Let's supplement him. And Haggis, who's one of the most admirable trainers we have in these Isles, he's a shrewd guy. He doesn't overface his horses. I think Haggis thinks this guy has got a chance, and in a way, that's good enough for me. So when I saw he was supplemented, and I saw they were likely to be. Well, there were still 3 places before it obviously went to 48-hour stage. I had a little each way on this guy. I don't quite see it on the form, although we don't know quite how good Naran is, because his form was 1-1-1, and that's who he was only beaten narrowly by last time. But something about Haggis and the supplement made me think yes. But I'm now back to no as a 7th place, because I wouldn't back him each way. And yeah, probably others I like a bit more for the win, but not impossible. Why did he supplement?
Yeah, it sounds like a very weird nutritional advice, that Haggis supplements. Scottish doctors recommending over here. Pride of Aris, Dante winner, is priced up at 10-1. He, I think, finished last or second last in both the Derby and the Irish Derby. Been gelded since, returning to the scene of his greatest performance. Can he replicate that form that, as you mentioned, looks slightly stronger now? Damascus has won.
Form figures 1-1-0-0. That's a very unusual cluster of 4 figures for a horse who's raced 4 times. And everything would shriek no, given that the 1s came first and the 0s have been his last 2 races. But, and the big but, two big buts here. One, he's been gelded, as we think that's in the last part, because he has issues. How many of those issues will be sorted by the gelding, we don't know, but that could have properly settled him down. But the other angle is he's coming back to York, and that Dante looked superbly impressive at the time, got this guy into second or third favoritism for the Derby. And although the form actually fell apart afterwards when the runbacks came, actually, well, hang on, look, lo and behold, last weekend it got its first big boost as Damascus won well in France, ran really well in France, won a good race. So maybe the Dante form wasn't as bad as all that. But this guy's back at York. I completely understand the argument for a small win-only bet on this horse. I get it. Yeah, I'm slightly skeptical, but I totally get why one would give him a go.
Right. Excellent. Part of us, yeah, I had to go on him each way earlier as well, speculatively when he was about 12s, but the free places were still available. Next in the betting is Stay True. He is 10-1, not seen since finishing second. Was it the Linkfields Derby trial behind Puppet Master? Puppet Master looks pretty average since, and on a line for him, I do not give Stay True much of a chance here.
No, nor do I. What niggled he won on his debut, which often they don't, and then it looked like he'd improved again next time. And I think, am I right in saying, was this the one where Stay True? It was Lorden on Stay True and more on Puppet Master, and the general feeling was that, how should we put it? And it was Richard Kingscote, not Wayne Lorden, but that Stay True might have actually been the better horse in that race, but maybe because of instructions or whatever. Puppet Master and Wright Moore got it done. I won't get with him now because the big layoff. I kind of couldn't help feeling there's more in this guy. So lightly raced, but after another 3 months since that, it's over 100 days, isn't it? I'm going to say, if you were thinking of going there has been some money for him today, but if you were thinking of betting, I'd much rather wait for the language used by Aidan O'Brien on the eve before trainer comments, because if you hear the phrase "just ready to start back," I would never get involved.
Yeah, same. The Voltigeur is often very much used as a stepping stone, especially by Aidan O'Brien. I remember Kew Gardens turning up here, half cooks, when he ran. Mount Kilimanjaro is next to the betting at 20s. Another one for Aidan O'Brien, William Buick on boards. Do you give him a chance at 20-1?
No. I think the market speaks, and the market speaks because on a preview of his York squad, Aidan O'Brien did definitely use the phrase one. He's coming on now. He's just about ready to start back or something. It was, the classic phrase for this horse will come on a bundle for this run. If he's going to come on, I don't think he's that good anyway. And he's going to come on a bundle for this run. He can't possibly win this race. Sorry, that's me going out on a limb. Just he's a toss, as the Americans would say.
Okay, and then Price is the Ragfield 66ers pacemaker, I suspect.
He's much more interesting. I'd much rather have a bet on this chap than Mount Kilimanjaro. He's a huge old price because on his ratings, he's not a million miles behind there, but that's mainly on the back of being beaten 4 and a bit lengths in that poor Irish Derby. But he did have a stumble in that race, and he wasn't a pacemaker in that. So that race developed, didn't it, with Sir Dinadan and Lambourn up front. So you almost wonder if this horse is running on its merits rather than as pacemaker. I don't know the answer to that, but I do think I've seen worse outsiders I'd want to back in my life than this fellow. What is he, 50s or something?
66s.
If I was found myself at York on Wednesday. Oh, hang on, I will find myself at York on Wednesday. And if there's a fiver in my pocket left by the third race, you never know how the day's going to go. I might wander into the ring and have a little flutter on thrice. It's not a formal recommendation, but I think he's too big.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Price, an interesting outsider then at 66s. Next race we have got is the big one, maybe the biggest one of the year. For those of you that are big fans of the the world's horse race rankings, Juddmonte tends to come out on top. And this year, in terms of ratings, we've got three of the highest in the world battling it out. And at the front of the market, it is very difficult to separate two of them. Delacroix and Ombudsman are both 15-8. Danon Decile, the Japanese raider, is 92. See the Fire, York Specialist, 91. Daryz 11s, and Burcastle, Ombudsman's pacemaker, is 100s. So let's start with Delacroix at 15-8. Had a pretty peculiar drift yesterday being Sunday. Went out to, what price did you say went out to? 9s on the...
You could get 9.0, 8-1 on the exchanges at one point with a lay price of 1,000.
Yeah.
So for a horse who was 7-4 the day before or whatever, that just screamed out this horse is not running. I'd still love to know what lie behind it. It fooled me. I thought there was no way he was going to run, but here he is, and he's back into 7-4 favoritism, also go favoritism.
Yeah. He was also the subject of that gamble for the Sussex Stakes as well, wasn't he, Delacroix? So he's been some extraordinary prices for races that he is and isn't attending over the years or over the season. But yeah, his Sandown win, he looked value for more potentially.
It depends how you look at that race. It was a slow pace, and even though probably to have been out the back, not able to get a run, would make you think that actually must have done something extraordinary. He definitely won that race with a turn of foot. And Burcastle comes in here for Ombudsman as a pacemaker. I think this is going to be true pace. I think they're going to go at each other a long way out on that long, wide York straight. And I don't think they'll be able to play the same game. That said, they really do believe in this horse. He really clearly is the stable number one of any age, I think, but possibly the fillies is a different matter. But if that wasn't just the way that last race played out, and he is just capable of waltzing past very good horses, including Ombudsman, then he's got a massive chance. I'm skeptical because I think we'll come to him in a minute. I think Ombudsman was overrated. As the best turf performance in the world, I think, in the Prince of Wales, and therefore I think Delacroix, for having beaten Ombudsman, also got a very high rating. I think they're both a bit inflated, and so therefore I think the prices are too short. And no, I wouldn't touch this guy at this price.
Okay. Yeah, I do not blame you. Even from the point of view of this just being such an interesting contest, you might not necessarily need a bet to enjoy it. Or, well, you should never really need a bet to enjoy it, but this race certainly. So, Ombudsman, you've already suggested that you're not interested at the current prices as well.
I really like the horse, but as you say, I'm not interested because I think that Prince of Wales run, in which the data shows that he ran the slowest or the second slowest top speed in the race at any one point of any horse per individual furlong. We know in retrospect from the time analysis that he was ridden the most efficiently in the Prince of Wales, and that they went too hard up front. And so I think Ombudsman looks better than he is. I still think he's a very good horse, but I don't think he's a 7-4 shot against, for example, we'll come to the Japanese horse and so forth at much bigger prices. I just think the market has squeezed the front two in this market too far down in terms of value. Either or could win. I prefer Ombudsman of the two, but I don't like Ombudsman at sub 2-1. I just don't.
Yeah. Ombudsman, I would have slightly ahead of Delacroix out of the two of them. And with the pacemaker in, he was potentially probably the best horse in the race, but at 15-8, not a real betting interest. Next in the betting is the Japanese raider Danon Decile. He took the scalp of Calandagan at Meydan earlier this year with Daryz back a length and third. The reason I mentioned Daryz is because he actually ran in last year's Juddmonte, finishing 10 lengths behind City of Troy. And that, for me, puts a bit of an anchor on the form there. Calandagan was clearly very unlucky in a race that was not run to suit a hold-up horse in Meydan. and Danon Decile, I think, is therefore probably flattered by that form. I think 10 furlongs also might be a little bit sharp for him. He seems to do some of his best work over slightly longer trips out in Japan, and yeah, will be one that I'm looking to avoid at 9-2. But what do you think of Danon Decile?
I think he's very dangerous. I think it's a better price than the first two in the market. That's for sure. And I would rather be on him. I know what you mean about that Shima. You're right to point that out, that Calandingham wasn't seen to best advantage and or not given a particularly good ride, perhaps. But if you've beaten Calandingham by 2 lengths, whatever the circumstance of a race, you must be a very good horse. And you're right in going back in Japan. A lot of his form is over longer. In fact, you've got
2 miles
races of up to kind of 17 significantly longer than this, haven't you? 15 furlongs. Yeah, that's 1 mile 7, isn't it? Sorry, just my basic mental arithmetic letting me down there. That said, he's winning an 18 horse race back in January at Nakayama over pretty much this trip. Okay, a tiny bit longer, but not much longer. Less than 11 furlongs. I think he's dangerous. I really do. And for whatever it's worth, the noises have been really, really bullish from the stable. Maybe that's nothing to read into, but I would rather play this guy than the other 2 in the market. Yeah, dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. Next in the betting is See the Fire, 9-1. She's got exceptional York form from a visual standpoint, absolutely hosing up in the Middleton by about 12 lengths. She then went to Ascot and was part of that Ombudsman Praise Collapse race in the Prince of Wales. She was slightly worse positioned than Ombudsman there, closer to the pace, and stayed on bravely, I'd say, for third. Then went to the mess of the Nassau, where it was a flag start, it was heavy ground, and you can easily put a line through that. Coming back to York at 9-1, I can see a case to be made for the filly here, or mare even.
I can. Not the answers, though. Really, the first thing I'd say is not as good a case to be made as there was when we were making it a couple of weeks ago, when you could get a double figure price, but 3 places, and even up to 24 hours ago, the likes of Bet365 were offering 3 places on this race when it was almost certain to be less than 8 runners, and that was still, I thought, a generous angle and a way in. I still think she's a bit too big at 9s each way. I'd never recommend an each way in a field this deep. One of 2 things will happen. She is either actually not good enough despite the York form, in which case you don't want to get involved now with 2 bets, 1 bet to finish first or second, and 1 wish for first. An each way bet would be madness now. But the other possibility is that she just turns into a machine at York, and that Middleton win last season is on the eye. It's one of the most impressive stakes performances I've seen this season. It was absolutely astonishing. And I'm sure that what did she beat compared to this field? Not much. But I mean, they were in a different parish, and she absolutely shot away from them like a 5 furlong sprinter. It was remarkable. Given a hold-up ride, she'll be ridden again cold here. She's not going to be too far off the pace because there are only 6 runners, and I know she's one of many horses will be run like that, but there's something about that York straight that brings out the best in this filly. And the phrase horses for courses, which has become a cliche in the English language well and beyond the world of horse racing, came about for a reason, because some horses just turn it on at certain venues, and don't think Ascot's her track. This is her track. I expect her. There's a good chance she'll run big. There's a chance she won't be good enough, but there's a chance that she is, and there's a chance she'll win this. I think 9's perfectly reasonable. Poke small win bet. Why not?
Yeah. Keen on See the Fire. Next up, we've got Daryz at 11s, unbeaten, unexposed, potentially son of See the Stars for Mikel Barcelona and Mr. Graffard. And the form of his Group 2 win last time out, being Bay City Roller by about 3/4 of a length, I don't think is good enough to have him in the fold here.
On the bare form, on the bare face of the form, he hasn't got a prayer. However, you can only win by certain distances when you're being ridden off the pace, and the pace is glacially slow, which is in a lot of French races, and it was in his last race, and that's the reason he, was only, I don't know, less than a length ahead of Bay City Road. He was way the best in that race. A faster pace could see him to better advantage, and we still don't know with his form figures of 1-1-1-1. They about should do this or do they go to an art trial. They've come here. He's training well. He's trained by an absolute maestro in Graffard. He just could be good enough. But he's this one where I just throw my hands in the air and say, I don't know. I don't know how good this guy is. He's got 4 really good horses to beat.
Yeah.
Up to beating them, I can't quite get there, but I did have an each way on him when there were 8 places and think, okay, I can really see this guy in the 3. Come on, let's play it. But now I'm a bit lukewarm, but fast. Like you said at the beginning of this is a race you don't have to have a bet in, but how fascinating to watch how good Daryz really finds out. We'll find out in 4 to 6 hours from now how good this horse is.
Yeah, I suspect it won't be good enough. And then last up, we've got Burcastle, who is the pacemaker for Ombudsman. So not much to mention there.
On Burcastle, I'm not going to make a case for him, but he's not a bad horse, and I'm sure maybe I'm getting forgetting things, but I'm sure it wasn't. How many years ago was it that we had a 100-to-1 winner in a Group 1 in Midsummer? Was that 4 or 5 years ago? Oh no, it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
York is not Goodwood. York is not Goodwood. I will say that, and this strikes me as very unlikely. But nowadays, this could have to be in the back of your mind until it happens again, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the counterpoint to that is it will definitely be fresh in the jockey's mind, and they will be ensuring that such accidents do not happen again. So yeah, I think 100 is too short. I'm sure on the exchanges you'll be able to get them in about 400 or 500 to 1 on the day, and would not even be interested in that. Okay, so yeah, that is a wrap on the Juddmonte. A mixture of opinions from both of us. I was more positive on See the Fire, whereas Daniel was more positive on Danon Decile and See the Fire, as well as a level of intrigue towards Daryz. And that brings us to a close for the preview for the day. Both of us will be there, very much looking forward to it. Please let us know in the comments who you are backing, what you're thinking, what your opinions are. Enjoy reading them, enjoy responding to them, and do get over to us on Twitter to sign up to our emails, etc., where you tend to get more solid recommendations than in our discussion podcast. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Daniel, any last words?
No, just corroborating what you said there. Yeah, well, the AntePoster. So almost not every idea, but almost every idea that we put up in recognition for articles is in the AntePost markets, because that's where we come from as a duo. We enjoy analysing these 48-hour markets, but yeah, follow us on those media to get ahead of the game. Otherwise, I'm afraid to denounce to our followers, the viewers here, the sad news that James is doing another of his AWOLs rather later this week. So it looks like you could be limited to just me for a look at the City of York and the Nunthorpe come Thursday. But so we'll see how that goes in the absence of the only competent one who can keep me keep me on the straight and narrow in terms of what's going on. So thanks for joining us, and until next time.